Welcome to the K Factor podcast, where we turn up the heat on all things fire protection. Brought to you by the American Fire Sprinkler Association, this podcast sparks conversations about the latest technology, trends, and tools shaping the industry. Join the AFSA tech team as we fan the flames of innovation in fire safety.
Welcome to another episode of the K Factor podcast. We're here with Robert Korpotsky with Hush Office, Hayward.
Yep.
It's a unique scenario for us. Robert is with a product manufacturer and wanted to see how the interface with sprinklers happens with your product.
Yeah. I represent Hush Office. We are office pods, acoustic office pods. There are different names for the category. Manufacturer from Poland, and we start selling in the U.S. market a couple of years ago. Right now, we are just growing enormously, like 80% year over year.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting for us. It's exciting for our partners as well. But we also see a couple of challenges. And U.S. market is the fastest growing market for the office pods right now in the world. I don't think that anyone expected to be that in the last year and the year before. But as I mentioned, we encountered a few challenges. And one of them is just fire safety and how to understand the rules and regulations, especially considering that different state, for example, adopted the NFPA code on a different level. So recently, over the last 2 years, we've had a lot of conversations with our customers, with our partners about how to provide the right guidance for the customers when it comes to the fire safety. And of course, kind of always the most interesting part are conversations with the fire marshals and authority having jurisdictions, and to be able to explain, to be able to back up our position with rules and regulation. But we found that kind of the experiment, kind of the test with how the sprinkler setup look like inside the boat, how the sprinkler pattern look like inside the boat, how does it really work when it comes to the fire and when it comes to the putting down the fire inside the boat, might be actually extremely interesting, not only for us, but also for our customers. So what we are trying to do right now, and again, I should thank you for having me today in the lab. We try to establish the best way to connect the sprinklers. We try to understand how the pattern will look like inside and outside the boat. We also try to understand how different sizes of the boat, because we've got 6 different sizes, 12 different functionalities within the statement of line, how different sizes will work with the different setup of the sprinklers. So again, we are kind of the proud. We developed as a family-owned company, and we basically grew rapidly because we listened to our customers. So this is the part of the story that we try actively respond to all the concerns that were reported to us over the last 2 years.
Taking care of customers, super important.
It's like U.S. market looks slightly different compared to the European ones. And I used to work in Poland, in Europe. I was transferred to the United States 3 years ago. And it's like right now I'm just learning about all the differences. And what I see is that, sales departments, they got a different responsibilities. Customers, they also rely heavily on the manufacturer's knowledge. So this is what we try to develop, and this is what we try to deliver today.
So when we look at like the fire protection in the pods, one thing that's come up, and we're going to spray sprinklers in the smaller, is it the smallest product line?
Smallest, yes, one of the smallest.
So when we look at that in the 2022 edition, which to your point, not all of the authorities having jurisdiction have adopted, and we'll pop this up on the screen for our listeners as well. When we do that, we take a look at the discussion between the small temporary occupied enclosures, which we saw in the 2022 edition, developed for things in, you see it all the time in airports, right? Lactation stations or your acoustic booths.
Yes, acoustic booths.
And that requirement is sprinklers should not be required in small, isolated, temporarily occupied enclosures that do not extend to the ceiling, maximum area of the small temporary occupied enclosures shall not exceed 24 square feet, and the storage shall not be permitted. So, and some of the discussions that we've had is some of the authorities having jurisdiction, though that requirement's in, whether or not they've had it adopted is an issue, and you might want to put a sprinkler because it could be what we call an obstruction to getting water to the floor because it's greater than 4 feet. The other thing is there's a concern with people utilizing the pods with electric mobility, right? Lithium ion, storing those in there.
Yeah, I think there is a couple of scenarios that we just have to consider. And of course, we got 4 small pods under 24 square feet. And since, just by our experience, this is right now the fastest and most affordable way to actually add some meeting space to the offices, and people are started to use that. But again, questions start popping out: should we sprinkler them or not? And again, depending on the jurisdiction, depending on the county, depending on the states, there were different opinions, and we end up a few times with requirement to sprinkler even the small ones. And again, it seems like there is not a common understanding what and how the pods should be protected, what can happen inside, what can happen outside. And we just try to analyze and build the different scenarios to find the best possible response and answers. And I also know that dropping the sprinkler down adds a lot of when it comes to the cost of the installation.
Labor.
So again, the intention behind the office pods was really the flexibility, ease of deploy, and fast process of actually adding them to the office spaces. When you have to drop the sprinkler down, this situation is a little bit more complicated, especially for the customers, general contractors, and so on and so on.
Because it's typically already a finished space. Now they're going to have to get above the ceiling, find a location, find an outlet.
Yes, yes. And I had a couple of conversations last year at the NFPA conference. And again, it's the intention was that the small spaces, they do not require sprinklers.
Right.
So right now, what we are trying to do today, we try to build some evidence to support that. Also, for everyone to witness that the reality is how it's going to look like today.
Right.
That the sprinkler inside a small space might not be the best idea, and basically the sprinklers outside are ready to put the fire down or just control the fire. And on the other hand, when you have the materiality, as we are building our pods off, with flame, which are flame retardant, which basically we try to secure all the requirements and commitments. So there is not a lot of risk connected to actually to fire to be initiated inside the pod. Of course, there are a couple of scenarios, but again, the pods are tested against UL requirements, so they are safe from the electrical point of view. So yeah, like you said at the beginning, potentially the only one scenario when you can actually experience fire inside the board is someone leaving the laptop or battery or something like that inside, and then it just got fire.
So just, I guess, one follow-up question, then we'll tee it up. So for our listeners, we're going to do this quick introduction podcast of the test setup. We're going to go do our test. We're going to come back and just kind of discuss what we thought. These pods, are you seeing on both European and American markets? Because it seemed like we had a shift from closed or compartmentalized office to open floor plans, and then kind of back away and need a closed office to take meetings. Is that?
It's I think the reality was, and what people experience, especially slightly before COVID and right after COVID, it's we started to have a lot of meetings online. So right now, 80% of the meetings are within 2 or 3 people, and usually one of them or 2 of them are from a different place.
Right.
So, and again, human speech, when you can hear and understand, is the biggest distraction in the office. Basically, when you can understand someone else saying something, when you can overhear the speech, it's like your focus is gone. You just need another 20, 25 minutes to reshape again, to get the focus back. So this time is lost, and it's like kind of like having the situation in the open plan is the loss of the productivity.
Right.
So what we saw, actually, we were asked a couple of years ago to build something like that for one of our customers in Poland, and then the solution quickly gained popularity. So we were asked even more to deliver more pods, more sizes, more functionalities, and we started to develop the product, which was meeting all the expectations when it comes to the speech level reduction, when it comes to the ventilation, lighting, and all the safety standards as well. So right now what we see that is like when you have an office, when especially open space, and you have the situation that a lot of people during the day have online meetings. At the beginning, we all thought, I believe, that the headphones might be the best solution. But turned out that, of course, we are human beings, so when we cannot hear each other, then we tend to actually speak louder.
Right.
So it actually make the issue more real, and the problem grew a little bit big, challenge grew a little bit bigger. So having those kind of enclosed spaces that contaminate the sound, that actually can lower the speech level by 31 decibels, it's something that's kind of the life-saving thing for a lot of offices. So I think that's why so many customers right now are buying the pods, are using the pods, and right now we also see the situations that, I don't know, maybe a year ago someone bought 1, 10, 15.
Wow.
Now we see that the same customers are returning for 50, 60, 100. So
it's a good problem to have.
On one hand, it's a good problem to have, but then, as we discussed a second ago, that multiplies the questions and that multiplies the challenges. And again, since we are listening to our customers, we try to respond in a responsible way. And if there are not enough resources on the market, we will try to deliver ones.
So what we're going to do is head into the lab. Currently we've got a hard piped concealed K5.6 sprinkler in there. We're going to activate that, see what happens. We're going to reset. Then we'll do a recessed 5.6 pendant. I believe that's what we have set up, or we'll figure out the details there. And then we're going to flex drop a sprinkler in there as well, and spray it at probably 50 PSI, right? We're trying to, it's hard to, every water supply is different, right?
Yeah.
What do you think's going to happen?
There is a couple of questions that I was able to calculate different scenarios, but I would like to understand how the sprinkler pattern inside look like, how quickly the fire can be put down. What about the door? Will they hold or will they open because of the water? How quickly the pot might fill with water? That's one of the questions that's really something that I would like to see with my own eyes. But also I would like to see, like when we decide to spray it from the outside, how big the obstruction in reality will be. So basically I just try to answer the question today. Does it make a lot of sense to drop the sprinkler into small isolated spaces, as mentioned at the beginning? And I understand that a lot of it is within the details,
right?
Like between the words. When we talk about temporary use, temporary occupancy, that's the one thing. When we talk about the isolated, that's the other thing.
Right.
So those are the questions that I would like to be able to answer today. Even if the questions might not be answered in full, I would like to have at least an idea how to support our customers, how to answer the questions, and what directions we can give to make the process of buying, installing, and then making safety-proof pods the easiest possible.
Awesome. Well, we are looking forward to the test and also looking forward to continue these conversations. Really appreciate, I'm going to do from two perspectives, working with us, reaching out, but also from an end user perspective. It's always awkward when you call a manufacturer after you buy a product and you're like, what happens when I do this? And they're like, I don't know. Right. So you solving that customer service piece is really, really cool.
I think this is part of my our responsibility.
Sure.
This is how we grew up, and this is how we function every day. We just listen and try to respond, because I think this is the struggle that every single kind of the innovative company has. It's like you introduce something that have never existed before, so obviously there will be a lot of questions. So I can push away the challenge, but I can also act responsibly and try to answer the questions. And this is what we try to do.
So you'll see how wet we get in our test on the next one. All right, let's go do it.
Yeah, let's go do it.
Good to go. So we survived the test, and the booth survived the test.
That was a lot. Yeah.
So what do you think?
Fun. I think it was fun. Thank you again for having me. I think I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot. Couple of things I did not quite expect that it's going to turn out that way. But yeah, a couple of surprises, couple of good, really good observations. I think it's just a little bit too early for me to draw some conclusions.
Yeah.
But of course, you are the experts. So I hope that you will tell me what I should do or what we should do as a Hash office just to prepare the booths in a better way for customers.
What were some of your surprises?
I think I did not expect, I suspected that the amount of the water, in a small space, is going to be just huge. But I did not expect that it's going to be as you said, 7 gallons per minute per square foot. So it's just enormous compared to what is actually required on the space. So that's the one thing. But the other thing is I was a little bit surprised that the booth drained water out pretty quickly.
Very well.
So I think this is also the extremely important thing for the ventilation. So that means that channels are designed in the right way, they are built in the right way, and they also support the situation when the sprinkler is discharged, the boot will empty the water quite quickly. So that's a good thing.
So before we went and did the test, we were kind of talking about that small temporary occupied space requirement with that 24 square foot or less. How many, because I know you said you had 12 different sizes, how many would fall into that small enclosure?
Right now, 4.
4?
Yeah, starting from this year, 4. We got an extra small, a small phone booth. Then we got a size S we tested today.
Okay.
So size S can be used as a phone booth, but also can be equipped with sofa and with a desk, small desk. So you can spend hour or 2 just sitting at the video conference. And we got a size which is called XM. It's 2-person booth. It's sitting face to face. It's 17 square feet. And then we introduced this year Hash Work. So it's going to be full-size working station, but under 24 square feet.
Okay.
So again, it's as mentioned, it's 80% of the office needs are around single-person or 2-person booths, and basically we cover that with those 4 booths. But yeah, since they are most popular ones or just most first choices for a lot of customers, it's extremely important for us to provide the process which is smooth when it comes to the installation, doubt-free, questions-free, or even if there are some questions, then we are able to answer them straightforwardly.
the thing I enjoyed seeing in that smaller space was just how much water that sprinkler is really putting in that space, and just I'm not really worried about obstruction rules or anything like that in that space, because we're getting so much water down in there. And to the comment you made just a minute ago of we're putting out 7
So let's
gallons
level
per
set
minute
that
per
really
square
quick.
foot.
So when we look at light hazard spaces, which that would be typically based on, and we look at NFPA 13, that minimum design criteria for a density area is going to be a 0.1 gallon per minute per square foot, which we know that we're going to over discharge in most cases. But with that water contained, I'll have to look back and we'll go back and forth and look kind of specifically what our tests did. But we were up and over 7 gallons per minute per square foot.
Which, I mean, that's awesome.
It's a lot of
Just
water.
Seeing that spray pattern in there, just dousing everything in there. It's like any fire that's in there is going to get just soaked.
Yeah, it's just like at some point I just start to think about that. The whole system, dropping the sprinkler in a small boat is just like over efficient.
Right.
It's like,
But with it being so small, I mean, when we also did a test where we had the ceiling level sprinkler kind of spraying on both sides of the booth. And so that was kind of neat to see of like, yeah, we're still going to be good with the overlapping spray patterns and whatnot. So that it just kind of contextualized a lot of that small temporary occupied, almost like the closet rules and whatnot from 13, and just like where those rules came from, and it visually helped.
And that density that you're getting in that booth, and again, this is a controlled environment, very specific scenario, is more than your base design for ESFRs with plastics, or which is early suppression, fast response storage sprinklers, right? So, which goes back to this where it says, and storage shall not be permitted. Well, if it was and there was a sprinkler, we're probably good, right?
yeah, I think so. At least just reading the rules.
So that's just interesting. I think the most interesting thing to me is going back to the actual use of the pods, and I say the difficulty, but if it's a nice product, right? So the cost is not inexpensive for a pod. I'm not saying it's expensive, but it's not.
It's like there are a couple of questions, a couple of things that you have to consider before you buy or before you say that it's expensive.
Yeah.
Like on the first one is, you really got a speech level of 30 decibels delivered. So basically, it's like if you want to build a room at 30 decibels of speech level reduction, you're going to invest a lot of money.
For sure.
So with a pod, we control the environment around the user, so we are able to provide, due to materials, thanks to the materials we are using, a really controlled environment with certified, measured performance.
Right.
So that's the one thing. The other thing is, as you see, like we assembled the board like within 2 or 3 hours yesterday, and like most of the work I just done by myself. So it's not very difficult to deploy in the office. So if you have a skilled crew, usually 3 or 4 members, it's like hour and a half or even less, and you can enjoy silence in the office or focus in the office. So when you look at that, you can actually have something that's going to work within a couple of hours. So you just save yourself like weeks of construction. So, and again, you saw it a couple of minutes ago. It's very easy to move. Like once you lift the feet, it's going to sit on casters. So like one person can easily move it to a different location. This is something you cannot do with the room.
Right.
So that's the reason I believe that they are becoming extremely popular, because basically once you buy it, you own it and you decide where to put it and you decided how to use it. The other thing you asked me what surprised me. I was also surprised by the flexible connection.
Okay.
This is something like, again, this is like referring back to a lot of questions we are getting about piping down, like using the hard pipe or versus flexible connection. So what I saw today, thanks to you also, using the bracket on the top of the bird supports that process very, very well. So I think, again, it might be a little bit too early to draw some conclusions, but I think today that the flexible connection and the additional bracket on the top of the bird would be the best way to go.
For sure.
And then you're just saving the mobility as well. Of course, limited range, but still saving the mobility.
Yeah. And there's longer. So that's the biggest thing. It would be the height of an existing building, the hydraulics to make sure that that flexible connection is in good shape. But going with the longer lengths could give you some flexibility. No pun intended, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Some flexibility to where you move that booth. But I guess, so Hayden had some time in the field. If we were to drop that booth in this building, rough estimate, and you had to find an outlet, what would you say that labor would look like? And so for those who don't see, I mean, you're probably assuming, or if you're watching on YouTube, it's probably obvious, but it's a finished building and we just have drop ceilings, not hard ceilings. What do you think?
I think 1.5 2 hours. Longest part's just going to be cutting your pipe, sizing it, and making sure you're not sizing, but like make sure you're at the right spot. Putting a T on it, and then probably having putting a T on the current 1 inch, or maybe having to do a mech T.
Yeah.
That's going to be your most challenging issue.
Or if it's hard ceiling, then that,
Yeah.
because you got to figure out where the piping is above, how to access above.
Then you got to start trenching and find your areas. That's going to be difficult. But if it's something where it's like laid out for you, like beforehand, or like grid sealing.
Yeah.
Grid sealing's a lot easier. You just pop the tile up, you get to look up at it. As long as you have someone who can fit up there. But if it's grid sealing, I'd say 1.5. Yeah, I don't think it'd be too big of a hassle, but it's still
it's work, right? That you might not have account for up front, right?
And then also, I mean, we know how expensive labor is,
right?
And especially when you get to the ITM, like you're not talking not ITM, but like you're not talking about something that's going to be built into the contract. If we're talking about showing up afterwards, TIs, we're doing minimum 4-hour contracts,
right?
So it doesn't matter if it took me 30 minutes. Like you're paying for 4 hours. So there is some balance there too.
So you mean to tell me that as-built drawings on the front end are important?
Yeah.
That's crazy, right?
Who would have thought that, huh?
If only the building owners keep those.
Might be slightly helpful.
Yeah. It is funny. Like people don't think about those contracts, and like we'll show up to places and we've got all we're supposed to do is go and check out where they think a leak's coming from.
Chain discussion. Yeah.
Hey, check a discussion. Or like, well, they've got water damage and they tell us that it's a sprinkler part. And we go up there and we say, nope, it's coming through a hole in the ground because they're in an underground section. Like, sorry, not us.
Right.
4 hours.
4 hours minimum. Yeah. I've never thought of the minimum contract either.
And that's what pretty much everyone does.
Yeah. Interesting.
The other thing though that I was kind of considering, and we kind of had this conversation, is if we were doing a TI project or a build out of some kind, right? And we knew we were going to put these in, but we always get the most up-to-date information.
Yeah.
The owners are never a little iffy on where they're putting things, right? So if they're like, hey, we're going to put these pods in, but they're going to be in this general vicinity, right? Trying to get something hard piped in and trying to get it exactly where it's supposed to go is going to be really challenging unless you get brought back out on the back end after the pods are in and kind of the building's finished out, versus maybe having those flex drops.
So those outlets, I mean, NFPA 13 allows for outlet. I forget what the minimum size is. We could take a look, right? But for that retrofitting or that change out. So that brings up a good point. You may be able to use an existing outlet where that sprinkler is and make it a little easier.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're touching a lot of good points right now. And again, we just can circle back to what is small temporarily occupied space is by definition. And again, small units, do we have to really sprinkler them? Because it's like, I think it was quite obvious for me from today's test that basically we don't have to because of the sprinkler pattern. I have no questions about the bigger units. Like if you want to use the 4-person, 6-person, that's kind of the obvious. But then the small ones, I don't know. It's going to be your call or your advice mostly. But just based on what I read under the NFPA code, it looks like 24 square feet rule. It's something that we should stick to.
For sure. That's and I think back to it too. One of the biggest issues that we have as a training association, and we've started to give no cost memberships to authorities having jurisdiction just to get them trained, where even though you're adopting the 2019 edition, having the good understanding of why things came on the newer editions can help you make local decisions. And I think this is a good case study to that exact point.
Yeah, I think like nobody wants how to say it in the right way. We do not want to charge anyone more than it's really needed.
Sure.
Yeah. So we do not want to overcharge or overbuild something because we understand how many benefits the office spots can bring to the office. It's like, as I said, we treat them as a low-hanging fruit, and it is in reality low-hanging fruit. So it should really not cost more than is necessary.
For sure.
So again, adding requirements, adding rules makes sense only if they really increase the safety of the users, safety of the space, safety of the building and environment. So that's why I came here today.
Yeah.
Because this is something that we try to understand.
And the NFPA standards, it doesn't seem like it a lot of times because of the requirements. But we've had a lot of discussions. I've heard it in 13. I've definitely heard it in NFPA 25, which is the inspection, testing, maintenance standard, to keep owners' costs down. I mean, we're one of the few regulated mandatory systems that need to be installed. And if you cost it out, then that could be the decision between a business purchasing a building or not.
Yeah.
So these discussions and getting this information out there, this has been, I mean, it's just a great thing to think about. Gets our wheels turning.
Yeah. It all comes down to that. Does it make sense? If it does make sense, let's do it. If it does not, maybe it's a different way to solve it.
Yeah. Any other parting words or anything you want to get out there about what we've done, or Robert?
Again, I can only say that I'm thankful for yesterday and for today. It was great to work with you guys. Again, a lot of learnings, and it's really fantastic experience. So yeah, look forward for some more discussions about this.
That's good. Anything? The big thing as well, keep an eye out. We've got a lot of cool footage about things like this, right? So you're going to see some of those videos that we've taken